yield to the gentleman, my friend from Texas, Mr. Green, a member of the Financial Services Committee, 3 minutes.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the ranking member, the Honorable Maxine Waters. Mr. Speaker, I think it appropriate to reflect for just a moment on what the crisis was like in 2008. Because in 2008, when this crisis hit and it started to blossom, started to blow up, banks would not lend to each other. The crisis was so serious that banks would not bail each other out. We had a circumstance such that people were losing their homes, and they were losing their homes because of these so-called exotic products that allowed them to buy homes that they could not afford, homes that would allow them to have a teaser rate that would coincide with a prepayment penalty such that they couldn't get out of the rate that was to follow, which was going to be higher than they can afford. Mr. Speaker, this bill, H.R. 6392, should be appropriately named the Systemic Risk Creation Act, because that's what it does. It creates the opportunity for systemic risk to exist. And it puts us back where we were before Dodd-Frank, such that these various banks and lending institutions and other institutions of great amount of finance would be in a position to fail without our having the opportunity to immediately act upon them, as was the case with AIG. There was no system in place to deal with the AIGs of the world. Dodd-Frank allows us to do this in a systemic way, a systematic way, an orderly way. It allows us to, if we need to, wind down these huge institutions, wind them down such that they don't create harm to the broader economy. I want you to know, Mr. Speaker, for those who think that these are all small banks, let me just give you some indication as to how small they are. I'm looking now at the top 5 of the 27 in question. The top 5. Number 5 is $217 billion. Number 4, $255 billion. Number 3, $278 billion. Number 2, $350 billion. Number 1, $433 billion. Only in the Congress of the United States of America would this be considered small change. We must not allow this deregulation to take place such that we put the economic order at risk again. This bill, Dodd-Frank, of what I speak now, this bill, Dodd-Frank, when it passed, allowed us to look at the entire economic order and to determine whether or not there were institutions that were a systemic risk to the economic order. Prior to Dodd-Frank, they were all siloed. Prior to Dodd-Frank, we had long-term capital. Long-term capital was the first canary in the coal mine, and long-term capital had its demise in 1998.
Gentleman's
I yield 30
expired.
additional seconds to the gentleman.
Madam. Thank you.
Gentleman's recognized
Madam
for
Leader.
30 seconds.
Long-term capital had its demise in 1998. It was a canary in the coal mine. Bear Stearns followed, as well as IndyMac, Countrywide, and WAMU. They followed in 2008. We didn't have a system that allowed us to recognize these canaries in the coal mine and take affirmative action. This is what Dodd-Frank does. This is what FSOC does. And it would be a severe mistake for us to vote for legislation to repeal these bills. We're going to live to regret this vote. Those who vote to repeal will live to regret. I yield back.